Hey all, this is Nicole. Welcome to the Coworking Cuppa. It's a weekly video where I talk about things related to co-working, small business development, things like that. So something that I get a lot of questions on is about virtual events and how to do them. Now, I don't really have a virtual event agency. I do work with my colleague Robbie, who does this kind of full time. I just use events obviously as a tool in my line of work, but I wanted to talk a little bit about if you're thinking of moving your event online, whether it's a conference, whether it's just something that you would normally do in real life, but because of end times, you've decided to consider doing it online. And so that's what we're here to talk about today is I kind of break down online events that you can have into sort of three types. And when I go over the pros and cons of them and show you some examples, I think you'll either say, yeah, that's what I mean, or no, that's not what I mean. And it'll help you kind of narrow down not only your software choices, but what you can and can't do in terms of features. So like I said, online events are becoming the norm. And my prediction is that even if everything returns back to normal in a couple of months, we're still going to have hybrid events. So some parts of it happening online, some parts of it happening in real life. I think this has changed how we're doing events going forward indefinitely. So there'll probably be some kind of online component to your next event, even if things miraculously turn around very quickly here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk, like I said, about three options for hosting online events. They vary in cost, they vary in features, but yeah. So let's get this party started. So your first one is online conference software. So if you've ever been to a conference, you know maybe there's concurrent sessions going on. There's usually some kind of room or area that you can talk to people informally. And so the online conference is basically trying to take that conference experience, whether it's the fact that there's concurrent sessions, whether it's the fact that you're interacting with people kind of more casually, and also typically like some kind of virtual exhibit, and kind of putting it together. So if you've always done a conference, you might be thinking, okay, we have a lot of information to cover. We want to serve a lot of people. So we want to move this into an online conference. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. So there's tons of software, by the way. Honestly, people are usually interested in investing in online conference software, not only because you can typically charge your attendees for this software, but also because it does a fair bit. So one that's pretty popular right now is Hopin. So hopin.com, and that's what we're looking at here. And I haven't actually attended or used this software, but the basic idea is that you can have concurrent sessions. You can have, like I said, I think it's called a hallway or something like that, where people can have those more laid back interactions. And there's just kind of like a lot of those features you would expect in a conference. Also, the reason that people I think like the software is the pricing is pretty good. I think it's about $100. Don't quote me on it. I should have checked this before the broadcast. For up to maybe 100 people or something like that. Of course, it's going to take its sweet time because I didn't click on it sooner. Yeah, there we go. $199 a month, unlock all the core features. And I'm just seeing what it doesn't include. Okay, it doesn't include custom registration fields, advanced branding. It doesn't include Salesforce or HubSpot integration. So like for the most part, it's a monthly fee. It's $500 a month. And obviously, if you toggle this over to annual billing, that price goes down because you're paying for it annually and you save 15%. But if you were thinking about hosting a conference, you could just turn it on for a month, run the conference, and turn it off, obviously. So like I said, $100 is usually a pretty good price point. They definitely go up from there in terms of costs. Now, just to throw another option out there, I actually attended an event with this one, and it's called Remo, remo.co. And the basic idea of this is that it's funny. It looks like little, I'm trying to say, yeah. So there's like little tables. I don't know if you see that on my screen. Let me zoom in a little bit. And when you sit down at the table, everyone's kind of camera turns on. And so it's kind of like you're all sitting at the table together, and it lets you to move from table to network. There's other parts of it too. But think of this as like these conference softwares as kind of very kind of full featured. I have no idea, by the way, what that one costs in particular. So if you're looking for that in-person like conference experience, that's what this is good for. Obviously, it's good for longer events, richer events. And the con is obviously that it's a bit more expensive and the tech can be a little bit hard to plan. I've heard anecdotally from some friends that hop in on the back end for the person managing it is a little bit clunky, but for the participants, it's not so much so. Obviously, if you're interested in online conference software, there are many salespeople who will happily demo online conference software to you. And it's the most thing that mimics what we do in real life at a conference or at an event. Now, the other option, and probably one you're the most familiar with, is thinking instead of online conference software, online meeting software. So online meeting software is like Zoom, or Microsoft Teams or anything like that. Typically, everybody is kind of at that same level. So if I join via video and someone else joins via video, we're all kind of the same. Now, the person in charge of the Zoom broadcast, the host or the co-host, can do things like kick people out or mute people or what's called spotlight people, which means it makes them big for everybody else. But other than that, kind of everybody is pretty egalitarian in terms of, we're all kind of the same size square. And so that kind of format sort of is good for collaboration conversation because we all can see each other. We can chat either to the group or we can chat, privately to individuals. And honestly, people are just really used to this format because we've been using it as a society for like a year really regularly. I've been using it for 4 years, so it's not new to me, but I was glad everyone jumped on the Zoom train there. All right. So the con is obviously it can be chaotic with a lot of people. Now, I just ran an event for a group that had 300 people on it for a Zoom. And I know what you're thinking, like, that sounds crazy. And I thought it sounded crazy too. But what worked about it was they were all in the same company and they all kind of had the same expectations of like how things were going to run and what was expected of them. So it wasn't like getting a bunch of random people together and reminding people that they have to keep themselves on mute or things like that. So if it is a lot of people, if you're in a shared work environment or something like that and expectations are communicated, it's not necessarily, doesn't have to feel chaotic to do things as a Zoom call. I find that, you can do them, and obviously you can do a lot of state changes within an online meeting. Most people turn on the online meeting, blah, 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 and then they turn it off. But you can show slides. You can have, countdowns and music breaks. You can have, bio breaks, to kind of break up longer stretches of content. So you can do longer form events in the online meeting format, but you have to be really mindful in how you set them up. You have to be really intentional. And because in a conference, it is intense, but you can get up and go to the break room. You can, you have a lot of autonomy. And so there is some limited autonomy in online meeting software. You don't get as much autonomy as you do in online conference software, but you have to, as the person organizing it, kind of build in ways for people to do that. So online meeting software can work if the group is small enough, I think. And then the final thing is online streaming software, or you could think about it as webinar software, kind of like what I'm using today. So just to kind of let you know why I use the software, first of all, as you see, I can do banners, I can do overlays, I can insert video clips, and it's all very slick. Now, I'm not using all those features necessarily right this second, but the streaming software lets me have a lot of control. Now, the thing that I really like about streaming software, which I'll show in this, now I can't show you my streaming thing because I am streaming. It's like very, I can't show you it, but I can show you an example of someone else using it. So let me make this actually, I thought I made this super big, but so this guy is Martin and he's in Belgium. So I thought I had it zoomed in. Jeez Louise. Okay. So this is what the environment looks like. As you see on the right side, I have things I can pull in, backgrounds, overlays. But on the very bottom toolbar, we see that there are some people who are kind of grayed out. I don't know if you see that. I think you might. Hi, 2 people watching the live video. You're awesome. So what we can do is, as the person who's doing this, let's say I had a guest that was ready to come on. If someone just joined a Zoom call, they would just be in on the video. Like there would be nothing I could do about it. But right now I could basically they're grayed out because they're ready to be added into the broadcast. And as the person in charge of the broadcast, I can add them in. So it's nice because as the person who's kind of engineering it, you have a lot of control over the experience, and you can decide who's being displayed when. You can take people offline, and you can have up to 10 guests in the background. So I tested this capacity, obviously, when we ran the online shopping events. So, we had some people who were obviously like coming in at different times, some people coming in early, and I'm still finishing with someone. So I was able to sort of communicate with them in the background while still continuing to run the broadcast. So, the pro of streaming software, obviously, is I think it's like kind of gives a sort of slick experience. You can easily decide what is and isn't publicly visible. And all these streams, so right now I'm streaming to Facebook and YouTube. So after this broadcast, if you go to my Facebook or my YouTube channel, or my Facebook page or my Facebook profile, you'll be able to see this video after the fact. So it's automatically there. And because I'm live streaming, there isn't this expected production value. Like, I think in a good way. Like, you guys don't expect me to like download this and edit it and make nice transitions and all that. I'm doing this live and then it stays on afterward. So there's not a lot of post-production work to be done. Obviously, that could be a con as well, right? We can't control exactly what it looks like. It's a live stream. Sometimes things could be unpredictable. But in terms of participation, it's really limited to public comments. So if you're watching this live and you can leave a comment, and if your profile is publicly visible to me, I can show your comment, and they give a little example comment right here. So I'll just show you, like, if you left a comment, I could just show the comment like this. But that is kind of the limited way that I can sort of participate with people. So, unless they are an invited guest, I would have to have them come on, and then everyone would see their video that was watching the stream. So, just like this in webinars, the whole online streaming thing, the idea is that you have information to impart and most people are just watching it. So you're probably watching this and thinking that one of these things more applies to the event that you're thinking of. You're either going to go with the online conference software that gives the full conference experience, letting participants have a lot of autonomy, having maybe concurrent events going on, maybe having a sort of hybrid event where some things are streaming live and there's pre-recorded segments. You can do a lot of kind of advanced production that way. And also there's usually a component, like I said, of sort of networking, either in groups or with individuals, that's sort of implied with this kind of software. Option 2, obviously, the online meeting software we're all used to. If you want to kind of get better at this, my colleague Robbie hosts a weekly, bad Zoom. I meant to put this in, but I forgot to put it in. My colleague Robbie hosts this Friday event, nomoorebadzoom.com. It's a happy hour, and he lets, he shows you what he knows, about Zoom, and kind of models to you how to run a 50 to 75 person event through Zoom, because that's how many people show up to this on Friday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So Zoom can be used for things, but obviously it's not going to give you an exact conference experience. And then obviously option 3 is online streaming software, like I use for my page. And that, like I said, gives you a lot of control as the person who's running the broadcast as to what shows up and how it shows up. But there isn't a lot of interaction. And obviously participants can't even interact with each other. So one of these is going to be better than the other. But yeah, so essentially running an online event doesn't have to be intimidating. There's lots of ways to do it well. And if you need help or something like that, feel free to reach out to someone like me. We can help you think through some of the technical aspects, maybe improve some of the production value. If you go and even watch my videos a few months ago, you'll notice that I'm sounding better, the lighting's better. I'm like working on that stuff myself, and I'm happy to help people do it themselves without it necessarily costing a lot of money or taking necessarily a lot of, really complicated steps to do so. So anyway, thanks so much for watching the broadcast. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them as a comment, or you can private message me through whatever channel you're watching this on, and I will happily do something content-wise about it, whether it's for a broadcast or maybe an online event about it. And and please, in 2021, let's have some fun, and let's think about how we can do things online and keep them fun. We don't want to sit in front of a boring 4-hour meeting. None of us want to do that. But the good news is with these softwares, these technologies, is that things just keep getting better and better all the time. So Don't be afraid to explore it. If you explored it a few months ago and you thought, oh, this is super boring, Zoom has made, in particular, a lot of changes recently that have definitely made things better for the user experience. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week.